The familiar sights and sounds of courier vans zipping around during lockdown. The drivers are some of the unsung essential service heroes, making sure our packages kept coming, no matter the risk to themselves or their families.
Generally get up just before 4, get into the depot about 4:15, load up for about 2.5 hours, sort out rurals, leave the depot at about 7 and work through till about 6 at night. Used to be around 250-300 packages a day, but now it's been 500-600 packages a day.
This driver doesn't want to be named for fear of losing her job, but says she's at breaking point. Despite the huge increase in freight, her pay has dropped from about $6,600 per month to $4,800 last month. That's before tax.
About 40% my pay has dropped, but not because of the volume of stock, it's because of what they've taken off us from the subsidy and our line haul and contract rates. So the stock came down a little bit for about 2 weeks. We were really, really quiet, but then when it jumped up, because the volumes, doubled and tripled, we're back where we were, and now this month even more so.
It's a similar situation for this man.
Christmas isn't even this bad. Each of my areas has tripled in volume.
Residential deliveries, which are taking up the vast bulk of their work at the moment, pay between 20 cents and $1 each. For the drivers who have helped with thousands of education packs delivered all over the country, it's been especially hard work.
Working very, very long hours to the point I had to bring my partner in to help me and run 2 vehicles to keep up.
Most couriers are independent contractors, meaning they should have control over their business hours and working conditions. But that's often not the reality of their working situation. During lockdown, NZ Couriers has told drivers to take the government's wage subsidy, which is only available for employees. They have then said that they won't pay the drivers the equivalent of that subsidy, but will top up the rest of their pay to 90%.
The freightways companies are doing is deducting the wage subsidy from the employees, from their independent contractors' remuneration, which to me, it entirely shows that they do believe they're their employer, because they're taking the employer subsidy. But secondly, it just seems like they're rorting everyone, because they're not giving discounts to the customers. They've said themselves they've got triple the workload they usually do, and then they're taking the money back off the people that are actually entitled to the money. So it's really a three-way rip-off of the customers, their workers, and the government.
Jared Abbott of First Union says they've been contacted by dozens of drivers crying foul.
Not only are they taking that employer subsidy back off them, but they're also deducting other monies like 10% or 20% and stuff like that. And these guys don't make good money, for the amount of hours they work. They're working 14-hour days. They're not getting their breaks. There's no possible way they can have their breaks. There doesn't seem to be any care for them in that way. It really, it's really tough for these drivers.
Lawyer Gary Pollock says that behaviour appears to be unlawful.
So who benefits from the wage subsidy? It's not the applicant to the wage subsidy who's the contractor, it's the courier company. And that is exactly what the wage subsidy scheme is not intended to do.
Mr Pollock last week won a case in the employment court that a courier driver was in fact an employee, despite the company claiming he was an independent contractor. He says the situation is no different, with courier companies wanting to treat their drivers like employees only when it suits them.
They are taking advantage of this situation to benefit themselves.
Freightways, the company which owns NZ Couriers and a number of other courier outfits, today confirmed it recommended drivers take the subsidy, which it has then topped up. It did not respond to requests for comment. This driver says they've been bullied when they even tried to raise the issue.
When we've challenged about our subsidy being taken off our income, they've really challenged and got their backs up about that, and said, well, this is what the subsidy is for. They've cut a lot of our rates, so line hauls and contract rates and fuel subsidies, they've cut it. And when we've challenged the fairness of that, they've said, well, that's what the subsidy's for. It comes into play, steps in to cover that, and that's where we've been not treated very nicely and been threatened with breach of contract when we've questioned and said, well, we're not going to do such and such on this day because we haven't got enough fuel to cover it. So then we have the whole breach of contract waved in our face.
The Ministry for Business, Employment and Innovation says the Labour Inspectorate is concerned that the situation raises questions about the employment status of courier drivers and their integration into the business of the courier companies. MB is looking into it. For Checkpoint, Nita Blake-Persen.